Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by CacheFly. CacheFly.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Networks on Saturday, August 30th, 2014. This is episode 1113. Enjoy. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Time to talk about tech, computers, the internet, cell phones, home theater, all that jazz. 8888. Ask Leo. That's my phone number, 888-827-5536. That's toll-free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside the U.S. or Canada, well, you can still do that number. Just use Skype out or something like that. It won't cost very much. 8888. Ask Leo. Well, the rumors are flying as we knew they would. 10 days and counting now. 10 days till the Apple event, and the invites went out, so we know that this is not a rumor anymore. And uncharacteristically from Apple, the invitations were very neutral. They didn't communicate much information at all. Usually, at least, I think they do this on purpose, the Apple PR team will give us obsessive Apple watchers a little clue of some kind, but no, this time it's just what is it? What did it say? I don't remember. I have to find it. Something like, we've got a lot to talk about. And of course, that gave the Apple obsessed press something to talk about, because, does that mean Siri? Because Siri talk. No, I think they just have a lot to talk about. Apple did say, we've got, I think it was, who was it that said this? Phil Schiller or Eddie Q. It was Eddie Q, who was in charge of software at Apple, said this is the best product pipeline I've seen in years. And he's been there a long time. Here it is, 9/9/2014. It's black and white, looks like cutout paper. It is the Apple logo. If you look at it and squint, is the top part of the Apple logo. And it says, wish we could say more. There you go. Wish we could, not a lot to talk about. Wish we could say more. I've found, I don't have one, so I don't know exactly. I have to look at other people's. Wish we could say more. They're also doing something very uncharacteristic. Typically, these events have been in San Francisco at the Moscone Center. They have a small hall that they did the iPad announcement in, and I think almost all the iPhone announcements, except for the first one. And that holds maybe 500-600 people. They've also done them next door at Moscone West, which holds thousands. That's a much bigger theater. That's where Steve Jobs announced the first iPhone to a large and very appreciative crowd. But this time they're going back to their roots, the Flint Center in Cupertino, which is where the Macintosh was announced. It's just down the road from Apple, so that's more convenient. And it's a little bit off the radar. I think the journalists have been digging through Moscone Center trash trying to find a reservation for Apple for the last year. Flint Center, we didn't think of that. And apparently they're building something outside. There is a construction going on right outside for something, I don't know, big. I know what it is. I can tell you. I know from previous experience at Apple events that they will have a demo area. And so they're building a fairly large room for that they can seal off from the rest of the activities at the Flint Center in Cupertino. And that room will contain the new iPhones. We're pretty sure it will actually be called the iPhone 6, oddly enough. It is pretty sure that we will have two of them, one 4.7 inches, one a whopping, for Apple, 5.5 inches. It was only 2 years ago that they went from 3.5 to 4. Whew, big phone. And now, John Pachkowski, who seems to be very well connected at Recode, has the has the inside track, so to speak, and he says there will also be an iWatch announcement September 9th. So this could be a big, big reveal from Apple. We've been waiting for this iWatch for a couple of years now, and Apple's never said anything about a watch, but they've made all the noises, hired all the right people. Don't get too excited, though. Pachkowski also says not only are they going to announce it September 9th, it won't be available till next year. They're going to miss the Christmas buying season. That's not unusual. It took them 6 months between the announcement on the iPhone and the release of the iPhone. I think Apple feels perhaps a little pressure to at least let the world know they've got this iWatch. The press and even investors are kind of pounding the table. We want iWatch. We want, or what? By the way, we don't know what it'll be called. We want iWatch. And then, and they have been hiring people in areas that seem relevant. Health monitoring and fashion. They've been meeting with the Food and Drug Administration. They've been meeting with various big health insurers like Humana. Now, that doesn't mean there's an iWatch. It means, they do have this health kit that they're going to ship with the next iPhone. So maybe it's just that. But we want iWatch. And one of the reasons you announce it also is to stem off the competition because, lo and behold, all of a sudden, and I think mostly because people believe Apple's doing a watch, everybody else is doing a watch. Everybody. HP even announced a designer smartwatch. Of course, there's the Android Wear watches from LG and Samsung. New one's coming out on the 4th, just a few days from now, from Motorola. Google still owns Motorola. They've sold it to Lenovo, but that hasn't gone through yet. So from Google, we'll see a new round Google Wear or Android Wear watch. And, of course, Samsung has a variety of watches. They've just announced a new Samsung watch that doesn't need a phone. See, all these other watches, you have to tie them to your phone to make phone calls or whatever. This one, you can actually, it's a Dick Tracy watch. You can actually make phone calls from it without a phone. It is the phone. So this is, I'm getting a little, I got to admit, getting a little excited. Getting a little excited. Apple even did something kind of unpredictable. Apple, in 2009, remember when the iPhone, I think it was the 4S was coming out. Maybe it was the 4 was coming out. Maybe it was the 4. Gizmodo, the gadget blog, got ahead of time, illicitly got a copy of the iPhone 4 and wrote all about it. And Steve Jobs was mad as heck. And he declared that Gizmodo would never again be allowed to an Apple event. Well, here we are 5 years later. Gizmodo got an invite. So that's a... You see, you have to understand, this is all in the context of the Apple-obsessed press. I'm going to call them the AOPs from now on. We in the Apple-obsessed press can't stop talking about this stuff. The rest of the world goes, yeah, well, whatever. We'll see it when it comes out, right? Chill. Who cares who got an invitation or not, or who's been in the penalty box? You're right. Although there is a wonderful article I really enjoyed on... from 9 to 5 Mac on Apple's kind of brilliant PR strategy. It's called Seeing Through the Illusion, Understanding Apple's Mastery of the Media. I don't think, and Mark Gurman, who is brilliant and 20 years old and is way too smart and accomplished and effective for a guy his age, but in any event, he's really, in a way, done some great reporting on Apple and its quite impressive mastery of the media. I think that's a good way to express it. They spin the media. They play them like a auto harp. They get the media to do exactly with their bidding, get excited about whatever it is they announce. It's really quite impressive. In fact, you could say the Apple-obsessed press comes from Apple, in a sense. They created it, didn't they? Well, I know a lot of you are interested in the next iPhone, and it is for sure that we are going to see it on the 9th. Now that that's been confirmed by an invitation, I think we only have to wait and see what it is and when it's available, but I think it'll be the 19th. So just 3 weeks to wait. You can all breathe now. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Let's take some calls right after this. should point out that there is no evidence Apple has a grudge against me or anything like that. There really isn't. That's, I have fun pretending that. I should show the Brian Brushwood clip on YouTube. I have fun pretending that. But the truth is, I never asked Apple. They never told me. It may just well be that I didn't go to a few events and they just take you off the list. Maybe because we're Twit, we're under the radar, we're podcasts. I would, if I were going to pitch them, I would say, well, look, I do the #1 Apple podcast. I do the #1 iPad podcast. I do one of the most popular iPhone podcasts. Okay, those are 3, totaling, probably 500,000 weekly views. And then I also host this little thing in 200 markets, totaling 1 million views a week. So, frankly, I'm as big as any publication. But I don't work that way. And the truth is, actually, if I got an invite, I'd go. But we need to cover it. So somebody has to be here to cover it. It just hurts my feelings, that's all. So, but I admit it's my fault. I kind of fostered the notion that perhaps I had done something. I'll show you the video. That, that was the reason that I was not welcome at Apple events. But I don't really have any evidence of that. And that's just, speculation. And they invite people who are not positive about Apple, I'm pretty sure. The Flint Center can accommodate quite a few people, so. If I were going to say, A, it personally hurts my feelings, but that's fine. B, I feel like it kind of cheats you guys because the people who are in my audience. Now, the good news is, and I think this is Apple's rationale, well, we invited Andy Iannacco and Renee Ritchie, but they didn't invite Sarah. They've never invited her to an event. They didn't invite Mike Elgin. There's a party going on in Flint Center. It's interesting. One more thing about the Apple event, then we'll move on. But according to this story, and I love this story, and I highly recommend it at 9 to 5 Mac, about how Apple manages this. And there's no company better. No company better. Not Samsung, not Microsoft, not Google. For sure, none of those at managing these media events. But in this article, it points out that the executives get a white briefing book, which is shredded, by the way, before the event. And they start rehearsing. Right now, they rehearse 2 weeks ahead of time. So they've been rehearsing for more than a week already in the Flint Center. They take these things really seriously. And they do such a good job compared to any other company. Look at Samsung's bizarre product announcements. But before Apple, product announcements weren't really a thing. Early on, Steve Jobs, who was a master of media manipulation, in 1984, with the release of the Macintosh, realized how important these events were at getting coverage. And they have ever since, cultivated this technique. And there is no one better. One more thing. There's a company in China, Xiaomi. They don't make phones here, so people in America aren't aware of them, but they're huge in China, that unapologetically copies Apple. Their CEO strides on stage in a black mock turtleneck and blue jeans. They even have I've seen pictures of this presentation. It's in China. It's in Chinese, but there's one slide in English that says, oh, and one more thing, which is a complete Steve Jobsism. In fact, even Apple doesn't do that now that Jobs is gone. That's how good it is. There have been books written about Steve Jobs' presentation techniques. And I have to say, the events that I've been to, and I've been to 2 of the biggest, the iPad announcement and the iPhone announcement. I've never seen a more masterful showman and presenter than Steve Jobs. And then learning, as we have since then, what a tightrope these presentations are. When the iPhone presentation, there was only one way he could do it. Anything else, if he deviated one iota from the script, the phone would crash. And even then, they had 3 or 4 extra phones. There were only a handful of phones in existence. They had them all on stage. in case one crashed, he could pick up another one and continue the presentation. In fact, that did happen a couple of times. They also changed the software so that you wouldn't know that the radio had crashed. You know, there's that on all phones, right? You got the 5 bars thing, the little bars. Well, they knew that the radio in the presentation would crash. It was just not reliable. So they changed the user interface on these demo phones to always show 5 bars. Otherwise, you'd see it disappear and come back. Masterful. Masterful. So that's why you want to go. You want to go, and it's not the same since Steve's left. I have to say, the machine is still there, but man, without P.T. Barnum, there is no Ringling Brothers. You know, I mean, you got to have this. You don't get the circus without the ringmaster, and he was par excellence. Let us continue. Enough apple polishing. I shall stop now, and you will hear no more of this for a while. Let us take a call, and I know that the phone ranger is prepared and ready. You're an iPhone user, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're due.
No.
You got a 5?
I haven't had this a year yet.
Oh, that's right. You're not due. Do you wait 2 years? Yeah, you do. Most normal people say, well, I'm not going to do this unless I get a deal.
I was fine. I'm very happy with technology the way it is.
Yeah, most people are. Every other year. That's why Apple doesn't really make big advances until every other year. But you got to get with the cycle, see? Because this is the big year for the new 2-year cycle begins September 9th.
I'm not going to let you taint me. I'm going to stay the way I always was.
Good.
Which is
well
just
done.
fine with everything. And then when it's really falling apart,
then you get a new one.
To the Apple 8.
See, my kids are on the 2-month upgrade cycle.
Yeah.
They break that, and this is the one thing that really bugs me. Can you make these phones a little more durable, Apple? Really? I swear to God, these kids they break it every time, and then they deal with it for a long time until the glass actually starts shedding off the front face of it, and they cut themselves. Then they say, "Well, I guess I need a new phone."
Oh, if you're cutting yourself.
Oh, they're cutting themselves, not on purpose, but it's just you can't help it because it's sharp. I see the phone. Abby's done it too. I gave her. I said, "Look, I'm not giving you a new iPhone. There's a new one coming out. Let's wait. Here, take one of my old Android phones." Both my kids, 20 and 22. Henry's 20, turned 20. Oh. Abby's 22. Both are using Moto X phone, old Moto X phones, until the new iPhone comes out. Abby's already broken the Moto X phone, so I can't really blame Apple.
Are they doing this on purpose?
Yeah,
to get
no.
The new phone? I remember my mom saying, you can't get new sneakers until these ones wear out. What do you think I did?
They drop
I rode my bike and used my sneakers as brakes to get new sneakers. I dragged them on the ground.
Wait a minute.
I've never told anyone that.
Maybe they're doing this on purpose.
You think?
I have never broken the screen on a phone, I don't think. I don't even use cases. They're just careless. They're kids. What do you want?
Okay.
But they're old enough now where they're going to start paying for it.
There you go.
Do you have... I'm sorry. I said I wasn't going to talk about this. Would you please give me a caller that we can change the subject here?
Do you really want to change the subject?
No. Is this caller want to ask about it?
He does have
okay,
a really good
all
question
right.
about
That's
the
good.
new
No,
iPhone.
you see, I got to go where the people go.
It's more about purchasing one.
All right.
A wise way to do so.
Who should I talk to?
So it's Dale in Santa Monica.
Thank you, Heather. Heather Hammond, our phone ranger. Hello, Dale. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi. I was speculating on a deal and thinking, you said the new larger iPhone, some people are going to think it's way too big.
Oh, yeah.
I'm thinking some people might buy that and say this is way too big, exchange it, and then I could buy it as a refurb.
You know what? I never thought of that, but there will be a brisk aftermarket in the big one because you're absolutely right. A lot of people will say, oh, that's nice, then get it, and they realize I can't put it in my pocket. It's too big to carry. This happens all the time. I see this all the time with the larger phones like the Samsung Galaxy Note. They're just, people go, oh, I think it's a good idea until they get it, and then oh, man. So you're right. Wait.
Okay.
But that's always true if you can wait. In fact, Apple is almost certainly, when they release the new phone, offer deals on the old phone. So you'll probably be able to get a 5 or a 5S or a 5C. I'm not sure which ones they'll keep around, but those will either be free or very low cost.
Well, yeah, my problem is I'm used to an iPad, and I tried a Galaxy Note, and it was too small.
Wow.
So I'm going to have to adjust.
Wow. No, I think this is interesting because it's so close. If you look at the sizes, a 5.5-inch screen is so close to an iPad mini, for instance, that I think this will, in some cases, mean you don't need an iPad. This could be it.
Yeah.
That's why I want it.
That might be the deal. Yeah. Thanks.
I remember when I was playing Words with Friends on the original 3.5-inch iPhone, and I thought, man, if they ever come out with an iPad, that is going to be my Words with Friends device because it's big and I can see it. And it's true. It's so much. That's a Scrabble clone. It's so much more fun to play games on, for instance, on the iPad. But I think a 5.5-inch screen, and I have a number of phones like that. So yes, very clever consumer thinking there. Wait. Because there will be, I guarantee you, lots of people say, oh, I thought it was good, but it's too big. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. That's actually a very good point. Clever. See, okay, now this is why we have said for many a moon, this is the explanation of why I am not allowed to Apple events. And I don't know if this is true, but I don't mind perpetuating this.
Yesterday. How about that? And I don't know, I'm not sure exactly what happened there, but apparently...
That's Brian Brushwood I'm talking to.
You've seen this.
Yes, I got this last night. This is my favorite thing.
Oh, man. I guess I was a little more public than I realized.
We're talking about the iPad
Has Apple called yet?
Well, I came in, first thing I asked when I got into the station today, I'm calling this a station, when I got into the cottage today is, any calls from Apple? This is Apple's own video.
Oh, that's them shooting you guys?
Apple's own video has a picture of me in the audience, and I don't know if you can really tell, but the way I'm, and see, it's gone full screen, so you could see that, in fact, what I'm doing is holding up my laptop and taking a picture of the speech, and you can see that that's what's going on. In fact, Steve Jobs a couple of times looked over at me and kind of gave me the stink eye, and I realize now that's because he saw himself on the screen. I'm holding up a screen with his picture on it.
Oh, that's hilarious. He's like, what are you trying to tell me? Like he thinks you're sending him a message or something?
Yeah. So, but in my defense, at no point did Apple in any communication in any way at any time say you may not retransmit
there were no
this.
NDA signed, were there?
There's not. I signed,
Look at
whether I signed something or not.
Wait a minute.
Said I was prepared.
Everyone's so young.
This is OMG Chad when he was still working for Brian Brushwood.
Is he 7 years old there?
I think the red hair makes him older. That is OMG Chad, who is now part of our team. I stole him from Schwood. So cute.
If they had
Look
said,
at
okay,
him.
you
looks
know,
like
you
he's
can't
such a
translate
kid.
this, but they didn't.
Yeah.
So I thought after I was sitting there for a while, and I thought, well, screw it.
Yeah.
So apparently I'm like the only one who did this, which is why we had 180,000 views yesterday.
Yeah.
Because nobody else had the stupidity.
The fortitude.
The fortitude.
foresight.
Next time I'm just going to put Barney on the screen.
No, but you nailed it, man. It's like, just go for it. He's like, what's he going to do? Tell you to stop? You're like,
I
well,
gave him
sorry.
publicity.
I thought this was a news event.
Yeah, and they had all these cameras there anyway. I mean, it's like a big deal. If I had known, I would have brought a nicer camera. I'm holding up my laptop. I mean, that's talk about pathetic. If I had known, and there's a guy sitting in front of me, Sam Bozzo. You can't actually, if I zoom out, that's Scott Shepard there, who does a Mac podcast, and that's Sam right there, right?
Yeah.
So Sam. My video basically is the back of Sam and Scott's head most of the time.
That's funny.
And in fact, I'll show you. I think I have some of it here. I could show you. There. This is what you're seeing from the other viewpoint, right? This is me, and this is what I'm broadcasting.
By the way, this to me looks like the equivalent. Did you
Mystery
have
Mystery Science Theater is what it is.
Actually, when I was thinking, I was like, was there a bubble of awkwardness, like you're going to see a movie and somebody's bootlegging it
It's
right
very
next
much
to you?
that. It's very much that.
Now, did you have any idea at that moment how many viewers were watching? Or
Yeah, I was getting text messages, and at one point I found out there were they told me 97,000. I thought, oh my God.
Yeah.
And I'm looking next to me. There's a guy live blogging, and he's got he's very proud.
Jerk Laporte.
No, he's very proud. He's got his live blog. It says 8,000 people are watching, and I'm sure he's going. And I didn't really say, hey dude.
By the way,
but here's the funny thing: is that at some point Sam Bozzo, who's looking at his laptop, gets an email saying, "Hey Sam, I see the back of your head on Twit." So he turns around and he goes,
Go ahead.
And towards the end of the event, he's actually writing messages on his iPod Touch and holding it up.
Oh, good.
He said, "Hey, Jerry." So there's like at the bottom of this, you're gonna towards the end of our Apple broadcast, you'll see Sam finally figures out this is his claim to fame.
But that's much better than. Can you imagine if he turns around and he's just like, "Come on, Laporte, you're screwing everything up."
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Scott Wilkinson is here. El Scotto Wilkinsono. Well, it's Dragon Con. Everybody's got a secret superhero in them.
I guess that's true.
Scott is the superhero of AV and home theater. It's good to have you back.
Thank
so
you
last
much.
week we were talking a little bit about, and I thought I'd just give you a follow-up on this, high-def recordings,
high-resolution audio?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So audio. Yeah, not video, audio. So
I was driving around and I heard you talk about it last week because, of course, when I'm in the car, I'm always listening to the show.
Thank you. So the MP3s or the AACs, these are highly compressed. They compress them with a technique called lossy compression, which takes bits out, bits they think you can't hear.
Right. It's all based on psychoacoustics.
But
And in fact,
you can tell
reduces,
the difference.
It takes out like 90% of the information that's in the audio.
It does. In fact, it's amazing that it works. You take a CD and you compress it to MP3. It's usually 10-to-1 or 11-to-1 compression.
Yep.
So it makes it much smaller. That really powered the whole music revolution, buying online and everything. But now that we have high-speed internet, people are saying, well, do we need to compress it that much? So people are buying uncompressed tracks or buying CDs and making them digital using uncompressed or not. They're not uncompressed. They're lossless compression, which means when you uncompress them, they're exactly the same as the original. And there are two techniques for that: FLAC or FLAC, and Apple has its own lossless codec, ALAC.
There's also a Windows lossless codec as well.
And yeah, I use FLAC because it's not it's not owned by any company, although Apple did apparently put theirs in open source. But I think FLAC is fine.
Right, I agree.
And they all do about the same compression, 2-to-1 compression.
2-to-1 roughly, yeah. Yep.
So I've been buying at HD Tracks. There are other places to do this. High-res recordings. Now they're not taking a CD and turning it around because a CD is 44,100 samples at 16 bits per second.
Yep. This is sort of the dirty little secret and the confusion about high-res audio when you download it. In some cases, they in fact are taking the CD and simply resampling it.
That's just a ripoff.
It is. It's a total ripoff.
Because I'm expecting more bits for my dollar.
That's right. Because these tracks are not cheap.
Well, it's
They're
about,
this,
roughly $18 a CD, that kind of thing, an album. So it's a little more than CDs are now $10. So it's maybe twice as much.
Yeah.
I think that in a lot of cases, I've been reading reviews and people are trying to prove this. It's very hard to prove that it's up-resed. That's what they call it. But most of the time,
it's not that hard, actually.
Well, there's
really
extra bits that you don't need. There's missing bits.
There is, but all you have to do is put it into a program on a computer that has what's called a spectrum analyzer. And I can't think of a name of a program off the top of my head, but it shows you whether or not there is information above 20,000 hertz, 20 kilohertz, or not, or if there's a hard cutoff. If there's a hard cutoff, then it's no better than a CD.
Well, it may be compressed as well. I mean, there is compression in these things. So you can't prove without a doubt, but I think the fact that people are aware of this, companies like HD Tracks are getting master tracks. There are a couple of companies like Nonesuch and Rhino where they really are giving them master tracks at a higher recording
and I have to also give props to Mark Waldrop at AIX Records, and he runs another high-res audio download site like HD Tracks. It's called iTracks.
I got to try him. Okay,
you really do, because he knows high-res audio.
I know Mark would not cheat us.
He would not.
No.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And in fact, I would, now that you have some high-res playback capability and some really nice new headphones, I hear.
Well, that's what I was just going to talk about. So yeah, I'm thinking I might go to. So, but my concern was how am I going to play him back? And remember that I did buy into Neil Young's Kickstarter, the Pono project, which is a portable high-res player, because iTunes won't do it and the iPod won't do it.
Well, I got a question from somebody asking if the iPod would do it, because it will play FLAC files and lossless files,
It'll play
uncompressed files.
It's the high
But
resolution.
It only has a frequency response on its output up to 20,000, up to 20 kilohertz, and the Pono goes much higher.
And then I realized that, wait a minute, my Onkyo and Denon receivers have USB ports in the front. And I realized, and I thought, well, let's see if it can play these. And it can. It can play even the 192,000 samples a second at 24 bits, which is a lot of data. In the FLAC format, they play just fine. So now, there's another issue that comes up, which is your digital to analog converter. Because in order to play this digital data back, you've got to turn it into sounds that can go into your headphones over the headphone, or your speakers over the speaker. So that's a digital to audio conversion. And there apparently, and I don't have the golden ears to know the difference, there's a wide range of quality in DACs.
We just talked about that the last Thursday on Home Theater Geeks. Exactly right. It depends on how they design the filter and all the other circuitry. You will hear a difference, absolutely. Yeah. Another factor, though, I want you to take into consideration particularly. You have a Denon, you said, and an Onkyo receiver.
And a Denon, yeah.
They have what's called Odyssey room correction.
Yes. And
if you have that engaged, Odyssey doesn't do this, but the manufacturers do. They all down convert digital audio to 48 kilohertz.
Turning off Odyssey, making a note.
Turn off Odyssey. Exactly.
I did do Odyssey for my 5.1 surround for TV because it balances the room.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
But I wouldn't want it for headphones, for instance. I'd want to hear every bit.
Right. So I would definitely experiment with turning Odyssey on and off to see, and in your headphones, to see if you hear a difference. You probably will. Now that you have this great system, I also would encourage you to download my experimental files from AVS, because Mark Waldrop and I have put up 2 versions of 3 different tracks, one of which is true high-resolution audio, and the other is the same track down converted to 16 bits, 44.1 kilohertz, the same as CD, and then re-up converted to 24-bit 96 so that you can't tell the difference when you look at them on a computer. And see if you can hear the difference. I'm running an experiment on AVS with people sending me their results of whether they can hear a difference and which one they think is the true native high-resolution file.
So the thing that's interesting to me is that physical media, at least in audio, is now well and truly dead. Unless you want to play analog recordings, and that this is a very small slice of people who want to get, 128 gram vinyl records and play them back on their super duper turntable in a sandbox to dampen the truck noise.
Believe it or not, there's even a smaller but still active community of people who like reel-to-reel analog tape.
Okay, so I have to think that if you're getting 92,000 samples of 24 bits per second, that admittedly, there's still something missing. And this is the thing people need to understand. You lose stuff from lossy compression, but you also lose stuff from sampling, because the actual sound is a continuous waveform. And when you sample, you're slicing it. And so you're going to miss some data.
Not necessarily. The Nyquist theorem, which is the mathematics behind digital audio, says that it is possible to reconstruct the original analog waveform perfectly.
Okay.
With no loss.
Okay. And the truth is, if you're doing 44,100 bits per second, samples per second, at 16 bits, according to the Nyquist theorem, you can reproduce anything from 20 to 20,000, right?
Correct.
The full frequency range. My ears stop at, by the way, 5,000.
Well, yeah, you and I both.
So this whole thing is just, it's all in your head. Thank you, Scotty. Scott Wilkinson. We'll talk more later. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I ended up using all your time.
That's all right. No problem.
Well,
this is the subject I wanted to talk about anyway.
It is. Okay, good.
Yeah.
And we'll give a plug to that podcast so that people, in fact, I'll be listening. Because I don't know what the DAC is. They don't talk about the DAC. It's a small part of an Onkyo receiver. I mean, they could save money on it.
Yes, and yet DAC design is very well understood now. Yeah. I mean, certainly people do spend a lot of time and a lot of money on on external DACs.
Well, in fact, in the Pono, the DAC is a big part of it, right?
Yes, exactly so. Exactly so.
They're going to use
And it's a very
Sabre
important part.
9018 DAC chip from ESS.
Yes. Yeah, ESS Sabre. Is it the Sabre, did you say?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. That's a great DAC.
Yeah.
No question about it.
That's where probably a lot of the money comes from, that, and maybe the headphone amp. I don't know.
Well, and the analog circuitry.
Right.
After the DAC.
Yeah.
I've always maintained that digital circuitry, even high-quality digital circuitry, gets cheap after a while because you stamp out 1 million of them, it becomes very cheap per unit. But high-quality analog electronics will always be expensive.
Yeah.
Because you have to get high-quality resistors and capacitors and all these things. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think that the DAC, certainly the higher quality DAC is going to be more expensive. But the analog circuitry is also expensive. And how to fit that analog circuitry into a relatively small case like that Pono player is another interesting thing that probably costs them something.
There's also the argument that even though I can't hear above a certain frequency range, and that's getting lower with age,
exactly,
that there are harmonics and things that are created at those higher frequencies that I can sense in some magical way.
You can either sense them in some magical way, or what I think it might very well be happening is that these very high harmonics are interacting with each other, producing what are called difference or interference tones. So, for example, say you had a 30 kilohertz harmonic and a 33 kilohertz harmonic.
Neither of which anybody could ever hear.
Nobody could hear either of those, but they interfere with each other and produce a 3 kilohertz, a difference tone, which everybody can hear, even you and me.
Yes, even you and me, us oldsters. Then, so I said, well, okay, clearly one part of the chain I've got to work on. I have, I have good Etymotics headphones.
Yep.
But one part of the chain I have to work on is my headphones. So I should have consulted you first. But I looked at reviews and I decided on the Hi-Fi Man. They're planar headphones.
Oh, they're fantastic headphones. You did great.
Yeah, I mean the review. Everybody roundly said these are among the best headphones out there, and especially at that price.
And the only other ones I would have asked you to consider would have been the Oppos, which are, again, planar magnetics, the same technology, and roughly the same price.
Yeah, these are $8.99, I think I paid for them.
Yeah, the Oppos are a little more, but not much.
Well, and the other thing that I actually paid attention to is that these are very, very comfortable. They have
you should pay attention to them, absolutely.
Because you're going to wear them for hours, and they have, and that's why I wear these, not for the sound, but because these AKGs are nice big ear cups and they're very comfortable.
Right.
They're leather and velour cups, and it's got wood. So, what are you wearing?
Yes.
Those look like Hiles.
They are Hiles, yeah.
Oh.
I'm just wearing Hiles.
How do you like those Hiles?
I like them a lot. They sound really good, and they're very lightweight. One reason I use them is because they're very lightweight and very comfortable on the ear. Now, I don't wear them 3 hours at a time as you do. When I'm subbing for you, I wear those headphones that you're wearing
and
right
these are
now.
pretty comfortable. You can wear them. I mean, you feel them, but you can wear them all day pretty much.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm used to them now anyway.
Yeah, well, that's true.
All right. Do you want to stick around? Actually, let's do some more of the show.
Sure.
Because I didn't give you really your full.
Oh, that's fine. Happy to.
Yeah. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. We're going to go back to the phones in just a moment. But I wanted to give Scott a little bit more time. Scott Wilkinson, our home theater guru, is here. And usually we talk about TVs because that's what most people are interested in, surround sound. But occasionally I like to talk about sound, audio. And I feel like this is an area where everybody listens on cheap headphones to their smartphone or to their iPod. And it's highly compressed AAC or MP3 files. And many have thought, and this is what Neil Young's been saying, that we're not hearing all the music that the musicians are hearing when they record.
Right.
And the goal is to do that. The goal is to put me in that studio surrounded by Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young, all playing into my head.
Right.
And as a musician, you've even said you don't like to listen to music, recorded music that much because it's not as good.
That's right. That's right. And when I'm listening to multi-channel recorded music, and there are companies that release 5.1 music discs, Sometimes, as in the case of Mark Waldrop at AIX Records, he releases two versions. One's called the stage perspective, and one's called the audience perspective. So if you like sitting in the audience and the musicians are right in front of you,
I do like that too. I love.
Then most people like that.
Every time I go to live music, I think, why don't I do this more? It sounds so good, especially acoustic. A jazz. Going to the Village Vanguard in New York City in the West Village and listening to a great jazz band, there is nothing like it.
There is nothing like it. There is nothing like it.
Because you're hearing the music.
Orchestra.
Or a symphony is amazing, yeah.
Exactly. Amazing. It doesn't apply as much to like rock concerts and so on, where you're listening to speakers anyway.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that can be more of a similar experience. But an acoustic concert, there's nothing like it.
I'm trying to recreate that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what audiophiles, in some cases, are trying to do as well. They're trying to get as close to that as possible.
I thought they were trying to spend the inheritance. That's what I thought.
Well, there's that too.
Yeah, and I think there's a great amount of snake oil in all of this, and it's very hard to separate what's real and what's not real. And it is all so expensive, and there's such a psychological component to this too. If you spend a lot of money, it's going to sound better.
You're right. You're right. You're going to convince yourself that it sounds better. There's no question about it. You buy a pair of $20,000 speaker cables.
Yes.
And you say, "Oh, of course it sounds better," or a $10,000 power cord. People do that too.
Yeah.
And I just say, no, sorry, I'm not buying that. If there is some improvement, then it's minuscule.
Yeah.
And not worth that kind of money, if you ask me.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
But on the other hand, and I do have to say this too, I think humans love music. And when music can be reproduced well and you get this just soaring feeling from listening to it, that is hard to put a price on. That is really a wonderful experience.
It is. There's no doubt about it. And in fact, that's one of Neil Young's primary points here with this high, and others too, in terms of high resolution music, that MP3 these highly lossy compressed files that throw away 90% of the information, that robs them of their emotional impact. And so that when you listen to them, your limbic system in your brain is not lighting up as much as when you listen to uncompressed, fully realized, even high resolution music. Then your emotional system is more engaged physiologically, and you get deeper into the music and you experience it with a greater sense of immersion. I've used that term in terms of surround sound and so on, but it's also true internally. And so this is the argument for uncompressed music. And now, as you say, we've got bandwidth that will allow high resolution or uncompressed streaming. Storage devices are cheap. So you can now store thousands of uncompressed songs, whereas before it was thousands of compressed songs. So you're right. The technology is now allowing us to probably experience music with a greater depth than we have been able to before.
How widespread do you think is the because I want to buy from now on, I want to buy music from these high-res stores. Mm-hmm. How widespread is the up-resing, the fake high-res?
It's hard to say. It's very hard to say. I don't think you can actually probably make an accurate determination of that because, of course, the people who do it aren't going to admit it. And, it's going to take a lot of work to actually look at the spectra of all the music that's ever been released in quote unquote high resolution. Yeah. So it's going to be very difficult to determine that, I'm afraid.
The Neil Young Pono player comes out for those of us who bought in early next month, or October, I should say. And then next month he's going to open the Pono Music Store, and I presume Neil will be careful to make sure that everything in the store is actually from master tapes at high res or mastered.
Yep.
And then, by the way, a lot of these are old albums. For instance, I bought Miles Davis Kind of Blue, one of the great jazz albums of all time. Recorded probably in mono and then converted to stereo, so I bought the mono version of it.
Right.
But that was certainly recorded on a reel-to-reel tape.
No question about it. And I've asked Bob Ludwig, one of the greatest mastering engineers of all time, hey, you're remastering these tapes from 30, 40 years ago, these analog tapes. Do they have any information above 20 kilohertz? Is there any reason to digitize them at 24 bits, 96 kilohertz? He said, well, yeah, they can. It depends on how the tape was stored, how the tape machine was aligned, and the mixer, how good it was, and so on and so forth, and how it was stored for 30, 40 years. He said, but the main difference between the original release and these new re-releases in high resolution is the remastering.
Right.
Which is EQing and changing things around. So it's not inherently the 9624 high resolution digitization. It is what do the ears of Bob Ludwig, the foremost mastering engineer in the world, tell him to do to make it sound as good as possible, and that's going to make the biggest difference.
Well, I paid $18 for my remastered high-res version of Kind of Blue by Miles Davis, and darn well I'm going to love it. So Scott Wilkinson, he's the editor-in-chief of the AVS Forum. If you're interested in the digital to audio to analog converters, they had a great conversation on Home Theater Geeks. You'll find all of those podcasts at twit.tv, twit.tv/HTG. Scott, so great to talk to you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so
it.
much.
And I'll get back to you. I'll have the Pono, but I'll get back to you, let you know how these tracks sound.
Excellent.
All right.
Thank you.
To the phones we go. Jack, Los Angeles. Thanks for hanging on. Jack Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Thanks for taking my call.
You're up. You bet.
At this point, as you said earlier, I'm looking for a phone for someone who is partially sighted and losing their sight.
Has he used a smartphone before?
No.
You just want a phone?
Not his friend.
You just want a phone then?
Well, I want a phone that gives him some capabilities. Actually, I was hoping that something along, well, it's not out yet, the Nexus 6 or something. I've heard a little bit about it.
Oh, you mean a tablet or a larger phone?
Well, I mean something that he can talk to and it will be responsive to him.
Yeah, the iPhone, as far as I'm concerned, and I think most agree, and I've talked to a lot of people who have low or no vision, the iPhone easily the best choice in that regard. And the next big one should be a big improvement for him. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. All right, all yours, Scotty.
Hey, thanks, Leo. Somebody in the chat room is asking where you got that Miles Davis album.
Hi, HD Tracks.
HD Tracks, okay.
The problem with Mark's site is he's got very limited
He doesn't have very much, that's
choices.
true. And it's all stuff he's recorded.
Well, and that's why he knows it's high def, high res.
Exactly.
But HD Tracks has everything. Now, they were the ones who got a bit, I think it was a Beck album that had been up-resed.
Right.
But boy,
HD Tracks has been known to do this.
On the other hand, I look at things like another one of the great jazz albums, Giant Steps, Coltrane.
Oh, great.
They're getting this from Rhino, and I know Rhino is reissuing high-res masters, that they're putting those out. So I believe, now, does it make sense to get a 192.24? I don't know.
See, I don't think so myself.
But
I think 192 is kind of overkill.
So
24.96 is fine.
Yeah, it's $4 more for one. I just figure, well, for $4 more, instead of $13, $17, I'll get more bits. It may be the same.
There may very well be no audible difference.
I'm sure there won't be. In fact, there may not be an audible difference for me between this and a CD.
There may not.
Frankly.
Well, that's what you could tell. You could find out by downloading those files from an AVS forum and checking them out.
Do you do an A/B, a blind A/B, or do I have to do my own
it's not
A/B?
a blind. No. It's there's 3 songs. Just My Imagination, a song called Mosaic, and On the Street Where You Live, sung by Mel Torme's son.
Wow.
And all 3 of those tracks have 2 versions, an A and a B. And what you don't know is which one is native high res and which one has been down converted.
I'll vote. I get it.
And then you vote. Which one is
which
high
one
res?
do I like better? And I also think listening on good headphones is probably economically a smarter way to do this than to try
I
to
would
get
tend to agree.
great speaker
Although
system.
there is some question about whether or not the ultrasonics, the 30 kilohertz kind of information, actually gets perceived by the body in some way other than the auditory system.
Right.
Maybe it's in the skin, or there are some other theories about that.
Right.
So in which case, headphones wouldn't work at all. On the other hand, we've gotten a lot of responses from people who are using headphones that have ultrasonic frequency extension, and they're doing very well. So I think headphones are a viable option here.
I feel like I'm going to have better results given the room acoustics and the amount of money I can spend on speakers.
Yes.
I have to say though, I have a nice subwoofer and as you know, a couple of good sets of 5.1 speakers, and they sound great. I'm very happy with them.
But that's the other thing to think about is I'm keeping track of the system that everybody who is taking this test is using.
Good.
And I'm categorizing people into those with truly high-res capable systems,
Right.
and those who at least one component is bottlenecking things down to 20 kilohertz.
Right.
Won't pass anything above. And the results are very interesting. Those without true high-res systems are right now they're averaging right at 50% correct response. Those who have true high-res systems are averaging now at 80% correct response.
See, 50 is what you'd expect if it was
for random chance.
you can't
just
tell.
guessing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Now, this is not a scientific experiment. I'm not talking statistical
No, but it's pretty
significance
good.
here.
I like it.
It's
Well,
interesting. It's just interesting.
Yeah.
And it might very well inform how we proceed and do another experiment that would be more scientific.
Mm-hmm.
See? So I'm just gathering information and allowing the AVS membership to participate, which is really a big part of it.
I will absolutely do this as soon as I get my headphones.
I appreciate
I
it.
get them this afternoon.
Excellent.
Yes. All right, all
If
yours.
you like. Oh, thank you. So, hey, everybody in the chat room. So nice to see you all here. Cool Breeze says some of Lynn Records catalogs have high bitrate studio masters. That's true. Some of these very high-end audio companies have their own record labels. Lynn is one, L-I-N-N. They're in Scotland. Naim, N-A-I-M, is another. I forget where they are. England, I think, somewhere. There's another high-res audio site called 2L, the number 2, the letter L. And I don't know whether it's .com or .no. They're in Norway. And they also have a somewhat limited catalog, but they're very, very conscious about presenting true high-res audio. So that would be another place to check out. F-Loop says the 24-bit part is possibly more important than the higher sampling rate. And I seem to undersell that part. Well, okay. It's a valid point. It's an absolutely valid point. The bit depth, 16-bit versus 24-bit, has to do with, basically it determines the dynamic range, the difference between the softest and the loudest that a piece can have. And with 24 bits, you have a wider dynamic range. Now, the problem is that very few recordings actually use the dynamic range of CD. Because there are very few instruments that can, in fact, recreate that much dynamic range. We heard an example of a wide dynamic range recording in New York last month, June, actually, late June, 2 months ago now, where David Chesky, who runs Chesky Records and also HD Tracks for that matter, recorded an orchestra playing his own ballet that he wrote. And it did, in fact, have a very wide dynamic range. But this is very rare. And especially in pop recordings where they dynamically compress. They compress the dynamic range of the recording to within an inch of its life. It's only a few dB. So there's no necessity for 24-bit in that case at all. And then there's the issue of, can your system reproduce the wider dynamic range of 24-bit? And very few systems can, not without distortion anyway, at the high end particularly. So I am concerned. The dynamic range, the bit depth, many people say it's the more important thing. I'm not sure that it is. because of these factors that I've been talking about. Tim Elliott says, remarked what I said before, that an analog wave can be recreated perfectly from samples. It's true. That's what the Nyquist theorem states. But the question is, that's the theoretical, and then you have to implement it practically, and you have to get the right kind of filter and the right kind of, you have to, it's not cheap to do that perfectly, but it can be done, even at 16-bit 44.1, even at CD resolution. Now, of course, the problem with CD resolution is that you need a very steep filter. It needs to allow everything up to 20 kilohertz to pass through into the digitization process perfectly without attenuation. But then by the time you get to 22 kilohertz, it's got to be completely gone. Any information above that's got to be completely gone. If it's not, you end up with a nasty artifact called aliasing. Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Scotty. We'll see you Thursday.
Yes.
All right.
Theater Geeks.
HTG. Take care. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers and the internet and home theater. Yes, audio. Isn't that funny that high-quality audio is now a computer topic? It is, though. It is. Most albums recorded digitally. We talk about anything with a chip in it at 8888 Ask Leo. Our website is techguylabs.com. That's a good place to go if you hear something and you say, oh, what was that? Oh, I want to read that article, anything like that. Techguylabs.com. And that's, by the way, free. It's not, there's no charge. You get the podcast there, audio and video from every show. We also put it on YouTube. Absolutely free. So we have great sponsors. We make plenty of money from them. We don't need to charge you for access to the content. In fact, I hope you will help us when you go to the website. If you see something you disagree with, if you say, well, I've tried this and this worked better, and your comments are very much appreciated. We divide the website up into shows, by day, and then hour, but even by question. So you can go directly to the question that you want to respond to. So if you hear something you don't like, you can, of course, call us. But if you can't get in or you don't have the time, please put it on the website too, techguylabs.com. You also find a link there to our fabulous chat room. That chat room has been going continuously since 1993. 20 years old. We've moved it around different servers. I bet you there are people in there who have not logged off in 20 years. You'll find a link to it at techguylabs.com. Chaz is in Toluca Lake, California. Our next caller. Hi, Chaz. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. Thank you for taking my call. I got to tell you, I'm a long-time listener. Go back to you when you were at Tech TV.
Yes, sir.
Which is how I learned everything about computers.
Thank you. Thank you.
My question is, when I'm scanning documents, I'm using an XP 410 by Epson. So I have a 4-page document. I scan it into my iPad. I then have 4 individual PDFs. I'm trying to find an app for my iPad that allows me to take those 4 now individual PDFs and put them together.
I think you already have that.
Okay.
I also use an Epson scanner. I use an Epson Workforce Pro, but I think it's the same driver capability. So when you go in, and I use it on an Apple, now that may be the issue. The iPad may not give you access to all the printer settings. But when I use it on the desktop computer, I am able to, say, combine all the scans into one PDF.
That's what Epson told me, except on the iPad you don't have that feature.
Yeah. That's a limitation of the iPad because you're not seeing the full Epson printer dialog or scanner dialog. On a desktop, you would be.
Right. So I'm trying to find an app that would work, and I've looked at a few, and some of
there's
them
nothing. I don't believe there's anything. If you can't, the trick is that you need to be able to access the Epson drivers directly.
Right. So then
Apple's intervening in their infinite wisdom. This is how the iPad is designed. So it's saving. I'm actually amazed that you can do it at all. So in the iPad, how do you open the scanner? How do you get to it?
Well, I got the Epson app, so that gets me to the scanner. So
then Epson should put that in their app.
I told them that, but they don't. They just say you have to download the driver. The driver will allow you to do it on a full computer like a Mac.
Right.
But on the iPad, you just get one page. So what happens is I send it all, open them all in iBooks, and now
it's four documents in iBooks.
Right, and the same thing on the Epson. When I scan a document in one page at a time, it says, okay, this is your PDF. Give it a name. And then it goes into the Epson folder, but I can't combine them. So
the only choice at this point is to merge them after you scan them. Are you willing to do that? Because there are apps that will let you do that.
Yeah, that I'm trying to find one. Everything I find doesn't quite in the App Store give you much information as how reliable or how good it is.
Yeah, well, that's actually a fairly simple thing to do. There is a program called PDF Splicer. There's a free version, so you could try before you buy.
Right.
So that's good. PDF Merger. These are both on the iTunes App Store. I really like PDF Pen. Now, this is not free, though.
Right.
But PDF Pen lets me do a lot of things on the iPad with my PDFs, like annotate, merge, edit, and I find it a very useful tool. So
yeah, I have no problem paying for
Well, try the free ones first, since that's all you need is PDF Splicer. But gosh, I love PDF Pen Pro. I wonder how much that is on the.
Okay. Well, that's the one thing is trying to find somebody that can give you an actual evaluation.
Yes, we can do this. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, I want to spend the money and find out. Well, geez, this doesn't really work too good because I tried a couple of the free ones, and a couple of the free ones really aren't. You find that they don't work real well, or they tell you, oh, now you have to pay money to get the ability to merge them.
Now, the same folks who make PDF Pen have a new program called Scan Plus that works with the iPhone and the iPad. And I would, I'm going to have to. It's $7, so I hate to make you spend this money because I don't know if it'll do what you want. But it is a scanner that says you scan a multi-page document as a PDF. That sounds like it'll do what you want, like a separate scanning program instead of the Epson. But whether that'll work, I don't know. It also does what we call optical character recognition. It may be something you want or don't want, but it'll make those scans searchable, which is awesome.
Yeah, I know some of them out there that are free. Turn the iPad into a scanner.
Yeah.
But you got to have a steady hand to do all that stuff. So
yeah, this uses the camera, and I have to say that the Epson scanner is always going to do better than using the camera.
Right.
I would try these free ones. We'll put a link in the show notes at techguylabs.com to several. PDF Splicer's free, and see if it'll do what you want it to do. Okay. At least it'll let you merge those PDFs. There's also a program called Goodreader that a lot of people use to manage PDFs on the iPad for a long time. That was a great choice. I don't know if it does merging, but I would think it does. Anybody wants to help us out, you could call, and we'll be glad to help you. Get you on the air and have get some help to Chaz. This is where we all this is the user group portion of the show where we all get together to help people out. It was my favorite thing. Have you ever gone to a user group? They still are around. I think they're aging. They're because the young people don't want, they don't feel like they need a user group. When computers first came out, we had to get together and help each other. That's where the Apple was introduced. Woz took it to the Homebrew Computer Club and showed everybody and started selling kits. This was the thing in the early days of computing. And one of the great, you'd start off, they'd always were the same. You'd start off, they'd have a speaker from a company saying, here's our new product. Or Steve Wozniak saying, hey, I got this thing called an Apple One. Would you be interested in a computer on your desk? Yeah. But then they would also have a wonderful moment where people would stand up in the group and say, I have a problem. I want to do this. And others would help them. It was great. And I always thought, that's something we've lost. But that's what we do here. So you're all part of a big user group. You got an idea for Chaz? Let me know. We will put those in all the links. If you do it in the chat room, we just put it in the show notes. And the chat room has already come up with a number of good solutions. That's great. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. If you have a comment, question, or an answer, let's say hi to Paul. He's in Holyoke, Massachusetts. where my dad and mom grew up.
All right.
Hi, Paul.
How you doing?
I'm well.
We're in a 12-man fantasy football league, but 4 of the guys, myself included, we want to do sort of like a weekly podcast, kind of wrap up of the week. But we're in all over the country.
Yeah.
I'm in Massachusetts. We have a guy in San Diego, and we have 2 guys in New York. So I'm trying to figure out what the best
way to do it would be Google Hangouts. It'll only allow 9 of you, so 3 of you will have to sit out each one, but 9's a lot. In any show, having 9 people all at once is overwhelming. The nice thing about Google Hangouts, they have this Google Hangouts on air feature, which is free, that will then save it out to YouTube, and you can have everybody go there. It's a really good solution. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888. Ask Leo. Moving on to Jeff in Los Angeles, our next caller. Hi, Jeff. Leo Laporte here. What can I do for you?
Well, I have 2 questions. One, a long while back, I purchased a Jabra BT8010 headset.
Great headset.
I can't find one like that anymore.
No, that was a classic.
I really like the fact that you could take the other ear and disconnect it and have just a headset for your phone, but when you wanted music, you just plugged in the other side, and you got a stereo headphones.
Yeah.
It wasn't some big thing on your head. And I've been looking everywhere for something like that. Nobody seems to make one.
Yeah, there are Bluetooth headphones out there. It may be the last time I checked anyway, headsets, I guess we have to call them, not headphones. But there are, what you want is a stereo one.
Right. And the nice thing was, like I said, that you could disconnect to one side, and so you just had the one ear and you can use your phone. And
that I don't know about. That's unique.
Yeah, because I've seen the sport ones, but they lock over both ears.
Right. You can't take one off.
Right.
Yeah. So you want one that's convertible.
Right.
A convertible Bluetooth headphones. There are some where you could pop the ear out, but you don't want you want it so that you can just take the whole thing off and it'll be a normal little Bluetooth headset when you don't want to take the headphones around.
And it also had all the extra functions on it, so I actually could control my when I had the BlackBerry, I could stop and start the music. I could make phone calls with it. Everything.
Right. Well, I think that everything will do that now because that's part of the Bluetooth profile. Here's one from LG Electronics. I'm just looking at what the chat room sending me because I don't know of one that's convertible. I do know of a number of them that will sit around. Actually, this new one from LG is kind of interesting because instead of sitting behind your head and curving over your ear, as most of these other ones do, Sennheiser and others, this one actually sits around your neck. And it's been, I've read some articles that say, do people really want to do this? So what it is it sits around your neck and you could pop the ears in and out. It's not what you want,
the thing is, you can't cover both ears when you're driving.
Got it. Well, see, that's what will work about this. So you could put this around your neck. In fact, I bet you that's why they invented this. You put this around your neck. That's where the battery is, the receiver and all that. And then you pop out 1 or 2 earbuds, depending on whether you're driving or you want to listen to music. So that would be one choice. That's the LG Electronics Tone Pro. And they just came out with this. And I've seen a lot of coverage of this because there's some question about how dorky you look wearing them. I'll tell you. Here's one. This is all the chat room talking because I don't know of anything. I kind of gave up on Bluetooth headsets, to be honest with you, because they drop out. I've never found one that is 100% reliable. The Jabras were excellent.
The 8010, the B8010 I had was really nice. I never had problems with it.
Oh, this is interesting.
It was really good. Music was really good.
Yeah, look at this. We'll put all these in the show notes. You don't have to make a note of this. This is another one from the chat room. It's called the Bludio. Terrible name. BLUDIO. So it looks like a regular Bluetooth headset, but you can plug another earphone into it, and then it becomes stereo.
That's kind of like what the Jabra did.
Yeah. So this the Bludio, it's on Amazon for $21, cheap to try anyway. That's an interesting idea. So it kind of turns into a stereo headset, if you wish. The key to looking at any of these is that there are two different Bluetooth profiles that both need to be supported. There's the Bluetooth headset profile, which makes it a phone headset. But then you also need the A2DP profile, which is terribly named. That's the Bluetooth stereo music profile. Much higher quality, and of course, it's left and right. So you need headset plus A2DP in any of these to make it what you want. And I'm actually looking at the specs. I don't see them say that. It also supports NFC. That's a nice new feature in all Bluetooth devices. The idea that you can pair by tapping your phone to it. Pairing is a big pain on Bluetooth, isn't it? Oh, you gotta press the button and wait, and then get the pairing thing, and you make it, and then it takes 2 or 3 times to do it. The idea that you could tap it with your phone, the NFC, which is the near field communications chip in your phone, would then signal to the Bluetooth device, I'm here, here's the code, and you're done. More and more devices are including that. The one thing perhaps holding it back is the fact that Apple has never supported NFC, and that, of course, in the United States anyway, is the number one smartphone, or at least the iPhone. It's at least tied for number one. It's slowly losing market share to Samsung. Samsung supports this, and the rumor is the next iPhone, the iPhone 6, will in fact have NFC, which would be a big retrenching for Apple. Big shift for Apple. But I do believe it's things like this that have encouraged Apple. Yeah, you got to do it. You got to do it. So there's a couple. We'll put more in the show notes for you, Jeff. This is where the chat room really comes in handy. They have a lot of experience with a lot of different devices. And we'll put the links. The Bluetooth looks like it would do what you want. And I like the NFC pairing. I think that's nice. Gary's in Irvine. He's our next caller. Hi, Gary. Leo Laporte.
Leo, thanks for taking my call. I really appreciate it. Long-time listener. I was at a local retailer. I need a brand new laptop. The laptop that I have now is like 12 years old, and it's antiquated.
12 years old?
It's a 12 years old Toshiba, and it still works, but it's running XP, and as you said, XP is unsafe. So
yeah. Well, also the screen technologies are better, the speeds are better. I mean, 12 years in laptop years is like 240 years old.
Yes, I know. And the guy at the local retailer told me that Dell and some of these other ones have like Celeron processors in them now, and he kind of said that you're not really gaining much.
I'm so mad at Intel.
In a way,
Intel apparently thinks there's a shortage in processor names. Because the Celeron, you and I remembered from 12 years ago,
yes,
was a very nice, inexpensive version of the Pentium. It was a Pentium Lite. Yes. That's not the same as the Celeron they're selling today, which is based on the Haswell processor. They often have dual and quad cores. This ain't your Papa's Pentium or your Papa's Celeron. So, but for why they reused that name, which frankly meant the low-end kind of junky processor, I don't know. Maybe they fired the guy who named things. I don't know. They should have. The Pentium was the worst name ever. It sounds like toothpaste.
Yes.
So I don't, no, there's nothing wrong with the current Celerons. They are named Celeron to distinguish them from the I series, the i3, 5, and 7, because those are the high-priced ones. But many low-end computers, inexpensive computers, have Celerons. It will be light years faster than what you've got.
Yes.
Anything would be.
Yes, anything would be faster, but he was trying to tell me that probably you're good for a year and then you're going to have to get an i5.
I don't think so. I think people are overbuying these days. I think it's about price, right? They want to keep it under $500. They'll use a Celeron. Go for it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. They had no L2 cache. They disabled it. But they were highly overclockable. Yeah, Celerons are fine. And in fact, it's for instance, in a Chromebook, it's nothing wrong with the Celeron. It's the amount of RAM the Chromebook has. It really determines how fast it will be. Yeah, it was just it was a dip. So stupid. So stupid. It was Intel saying, "Oh, we got these chips. We got too many. Let's just cut that line there." And now it's a Celeron. It bugged the hell out of us. That was Tech TV days. That we were talking about that. Yeah. But the current Celeron is not bad. And they brought the Pentium name back too, which cracks me up. Johnny Jet is on the line. He's our worldwide traveler, our travel guru, helps us use technology to travel better every week. His website is johnnyjet.com. His Twitter is @JohnnyJet. His Instagram lately has been filled with beautiful images from Southeast Asia. Johnny, welcome. Where are you?
Thank you. I am in Cambodia right now.
Oh, man.
I just got in. I was in Thailand. I was in Myanmar.
I saw your pictures of Angkor Wat. Oh, my goodness, how beautiful.
It's amazing. It really is.
So jealous.
And what I didn't realize about Cambodia is that they use U.S. dollars. So you need to have some nice crisp bills when you get off that plane to pay for the $20 visa, and to get an Angkor Wat is $20 as well. But if you have a little tear on the bill, they will not accept it.
What?
Yeah.
So get fresh bills. This is good. See, this is why we listen to Johnny Jet. Who would know that? No torn bills in Cambodia. That's weird.
But I came over here with British Airways, so I went through London. I had a marathon of a flight, but New York, London, Bangkok, Chiang Rai, and then I went back to Bangkok and now flew here to
I'm surprised your body isn't shaped to conform to airline seats. You spend literally more time in airplanes than you do in bed.
Well, that could be true.
Maybe not literally. But close.
But the secret is, if you're gonna do these long flights, I like to take little layovers. So when we flew over to London, we spent 6 hours. We went into town, went to a pub, met some friends.
I'm going to London at the end of the month. Lisa and I are going on vacation. 1 month from today, we'll be in London.
Well, that's one of my favorite places.
You know, I haven't been in 20 years, and I just want to see how the Queen's doing. Haven't talked to her in a while, and I just thought I'd just kind of. So it's we only have a week, so I thought it'd be fun. We just fly there and.
A week is plenty of time. Most people think that you have to go somewhere. When you travel from America, they have to go for a couple weeks. For example, right now, actually, Air New Zealand and Australia has a deal to Australia, and it's $13.68. And most of my friends are like, I need at least 2 or 3 weeks here. But you can do it. I've done it in a few days. But it's
but
better
you're
to
nuts.
see the place. But it's that could be true. But it's better.
It takes
to
a few days to fly there. No, I agree. And so what we do if we only have a week is we stay there. We don't move around. We go to one town, and we make sure that we do that in depth.
Right.
Right. Instead of saying, I have to go to.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
But you know what? There was an ad once that one of my buddies was telling me about. The Turkish Airways had in London. They had 2 old people sitting on a rocking chair, and they said, "Man, remember that time we almost went to Turkey?" and I think a lot of Americans are going to be like that. You know what? I don't want to be that person. That's
I don't either.
My wife and I just counted our countries. This is our 52nd country together as a couple.
Oh, isn't that sweet?
Which is pretty cool.
I got to count my countries.
To fly.
You've really you've turned your life around.
I tried to. So anyway, another good deal, by the way, before we go, Cathay Pacific round trip from Boston, $754. I just started this service.
To where?
To Hong Kong. Boston to Hong Kong. What did I say?
Just round trip from Boston. You didn't tell us where. But hey, at that price, it doesn't matter.
It's 2:30.
I want to go to Hong Kong. I've never been to Hong Kong.
Leo, what are you waiting for? All right, and then we got another one for New York, Copenhagen, $363 round trip.
Wow.
That's on Norwegian, so remember, there's the seat's not included. I mean, the seat's included, but you can't pick your seat. Luggage is not included.
Oh.
And food's not included.
Ooh.
But still, $363 round trip.
And you know what? Copenhagen is a great city. This is a good time to go. It's beautiful weather. Go to the Tivoli Gardens.
It is a good time to go, but this fair is not till November, December.
Don't go there then.
All right.
A little chilly.
One thing I noticed around traveling around Southeast Asia this week was that there's all these people have selfie sticks. You don't see them too much in America.
Wait a minute. You're talking about this monopod that you put your camera on and you hold it out? This is common?
I mean, so many people have it, especially the Chinese.
What? I don't get it. What's wrong with your arm?
Because you can get super extended, extra three feet. So, and I just looked on Amazon. You can buy them starting at $6.
Yeah, no, I have a selfie stick, but I don't ever use it. It's like taking a picture with your iPad. It's just, you could do it, but you shouldn't.
And a lot of people are doing that here as well.
I know. I see them everywhere. I know. So, selfie sticks.
I was really shocked to see it. People are even taking pictures with selfie sticks when they're not even taking a picture of themselves. They're just using the stick just to take a picture. I'm like, you can just press the button.
Well, now wait a minute. Now, how do they press the button on a selfie stick? Is there like
there's a button on the bottom, and it's connected to the top. So.
Maybe I don't have a selfie stick. I just have a monopod. I need a selfie stick.
All right, so I got an app for you.
Yes.
So you all know about Hotel Tonight, which is great for last-minute hotel rooms.
Yes.
But there's a new one called Flight Tonight.
Oh, actually, I love Hotel Tonight.
I've had this for a few weeks to mention. So this one is by Hopper. So unfortunately, this app is not as great as Hotel Tonight because to get a last-minute airfare deal is not as easy as it is to get a hotel deal. Hotels, they'll open up to third-party sites and they'll give you great deals for last minute. But airlines, on the other hand, don't always. But
plus you have to fly now. I mean. You have to be very flexible. You've always said that. That's the best way to get the greatest deals. But
that is definitely the best. Yeah. But so if you are looking to go last minute, this is one option to look at. It's not the only option because honestly, not all the prices are great. But
if you're somebody though who's footloose and fancy free and you love to travel, what a great idea. Between Flight Tonight and Hotel Tonight, you don't know what the heck you're going to do till the very last minute. Too bad we don't have Passport Tonight.
Well, you can get a passport last minute.
I guess if you're willing to pay.
Oh yeah, you just have to. There's definitely. I mean, there's so many different. A. Briggs, which is in San Francisco, they do it. There's a whole bunch of expediators.
Right. Okay.
So it just costs a lot of money.
Hey, what do you think about? And I don't know if you saw this because you're traveling, but the guy who used the knee defender.
Yep.
And got thrown off the airplane. This is a clamp you put on. First of all, I think this is horrible. It's a clamp you put on the tray table so the person in front of you cannot recline.
Right. Well, they sent it to me in 2003 when it first came out. And I was like, this is a great way to start a good fight.
Well, you were right.
If someone did that to me, there would be problems. And
that's what
so
happened.
If your seat doesn't recline and you're not in the exit row or you're not on Spirit Airlines, turn around and see if they have a clamp on it first, and then tell the flight attendant because it is against airline policy. It's not against the law, but it's against airline policy.
It ought to be. You paid good money. You want to recline. That's a terrible thing.
I wrote a story a couple weeks ago, just randomly, how to get the person in front of you to not recline. And
but are you using social engineering or what?
No, I'm using politeness. So I was flying. I was in coach flying. I don't remember where I was flying, and the guy in front of me, there was no leg room. I said, "Listen, can you just please let me know before you let the seat back because I'm gonna be working on my laptop and I don't want to crush it." So he said, "No problem." And I realized he was nice. I said, "Better yet, how about if I buy your in-flight Wi-Fi on GoGo?"
There you go.
And you don't recline at all. He goes, "Deal."
Make a deal with the guy. But don't lock them in.
No. So the guy was, he was very friendly, and I had one of those passes. I had a GoGo pass, so it was $16.
The guy who invented knee defenders said he didn't do it to annoy the people in the seat. He said it's because of the airlines policies. It's a good point. They've made the seats closer and closer together. There really isn't much room.
People are very passionate about this subject, and you got to see some of the comments on my site.
I bet. His site is johnnyjet.com. Great place to get last-minute travel deals. Subscribe to his newsletter. Have a great trip, Johnny. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So jealous. Angkor Wat. That's on my list. That's on my bucket list. And Phuket. Did you go to Phuket?
I've been Phuket, not this trip.
You didn't go to the beach.
I have, but not now. But when you come out here, I forgot to mention Air Asia. I flew Air Asia on a quick trip from Bangkok to here. It's 37 minutes. I could buy a ticket last minute one way for $43. And I was like, man.
But that's
There's no reason to make some day trips.
That's like Ryanair and WestJet, all these kind of commuter cheap because
but
things,
they're
right?
brand new planes, A320s.
Do they have bathrooms?
They have bathrooms.
Okay.
The flight attendants are nice, and I mean, I would totally do it. And I'm like, man, why didn't I? Whenever I come to Asia, a lot of times I just stay in one place. Now I'm like, I should be seeing these places I've always dreamt of seeing, like Angkor Wat, which was why we're here. We're just here for 2 days.
What fun! I'm so jealous. So jealous.
Anyway, I guess I better go back to sleep since it's 2:43.
Oh my God! Thank you, Johnny. Oh my God! Go to sleep.
That's right. It's my wife that's sleeping. So.
Well, thank you. And I'll ask you about London another time because I have lots of questions.
I think I woke her up. She's up now. She's a good sport.
Good night, Natalie. Good night, Johnny. Shh. Good night, Mom. Selfie. Let me take a selfie. Selfies go back a long way, though. I mean, Vincent van Gogh, self-portraits were selfies, right? Before they had cameras. People took selfies, but the selfie sticks, why is that bothers me so much? Does it bother you, Heather Hammond? There's something about a selfie stick.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's very common now.
I'm embarrassed for the people who own them.
Here's an article from Time Magazine 2 days ago, how the selfie stick is killing the selfie. Well, there's a nice side effect. I don't mind that. People, I don't really understand.
We've officially become ridiculous as a people, as a race.
This is Olivier Laurent writing for the Time magazine. The selfie stick, a small articulated monopod designed for cell phone wielding photographers, is by all accounts more popular than ever. Just last month, I've seen several around Midtown Manhattan, including inside Grand Central Terminal and outside the main branch of the New York Public Library. The extension handles for smartphones are very popular, deceptively simple, and elegantly designed, says Henry Posner, the man who sells them at B&H Photo. Oh. Do you do selfies? See, you're an attractive young woman that people want to see you. Nobody wants to see my ugly mug. So my Instagram feed is pretty much devoid of pictures of me. But do you take pictures of yourself? What are you laughing at?
I was like, who's he talking to?
Who, me?
Just on occasion, and if I'm with like someone.
Well, you had a
love,
lion.
Or a boyfriend.
You had
or
a giraffe. That's different. Yeah.
It's exciting, but I was saying in the chat room that the lonely bathroom selfie is the worst.
That's
of the
worst.
Just don't do it.
That's the Facebook, or actually it was originally MySpace angles picture where you go, to make yourself look good.
And get your duck face on.
Get the duck face. What a world we live in. I know I'm getting old now because that's how you know you're getting old, when you look at modern trends and you go, what's wrong with you people?
Decline of Western civilization.
In my day, they didn't have. Part of the reason is because you don't want to give your smartphone to some stranger and say, take a picture. Right? That's part of it, is that the people will steal it. They'll say, sure, I'll take a picture of you. Bye. So I understand that. Let's go to Chatsworth, California. Leo is on the line. Hi, Leo. Leo Laporte, this is confusing. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Well, let's do this. Comment ça va, Leo?
Ça va bien, très bien. Et vous?
Okay, I'm in the adult film industry. I'm a producer for Miracle Films. I don't know if you've seen any of our DVDs, but right after the $250,000 warning, there's a little logo, and it says, if this film is good, it's a miracle.
I like that. No, I have. Now, I've heard, of course, piracy is a problem for all content creators, musicians, filmmakers. But I've heard that in the adult film industry, it's a real epidemic.
Well, we've pretty much stopped worrying about people stealing whatever we produce. The DVDs we have out there, people don't really buy DVDs anymore.
Right.
So we're concentrating on a different way of having our industry.
You sell stuff online.
Keep producing.
Yeah.
And there's so many different ways. But the reason I'm calling is, by the way, before I forget, I hope I can say this on the air, but in our industry,
be careful.
Selfies, I know. In our industry, selfies something you normally put.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just a dot. In our industry, selfies dot, and let the listener write their own joke on that one. That's good.
Okay. But, Leo, what happened was Thursday, one of our employees logged onto our website, and this corrupted FBI warning label came up, and it pretty much wiped out our company's website.
Oh, no.
Anytime anybody went on to our website, that FBI warning message came up.
Okay, I know what's wrong, and I can help you here. So
Good.
this is really...
I'm writing this stuff down.
Write this down.
And we're not going to pay him $300.
I'm going to put you on hold. I can't. I just feel that there's no way this can end well. But listen, I'll tell you my answer. And we'll talk off the air, Leah. So this is very common. Hacking websites is the #1 way now that bad guys get onto home computers. And it turns out it's very easy to do because websites tend to run software that isn't always kept up to date. It is possible to Google sites that are not up to date. For instance, I'll give you an example. Now, you're running a content management system on your website, whatever it might be, that's, running the software. There's some software there. Typically, people don't write their own. They use something off the shelf. And a module or a bit of this, very commonly it happens in forums, in user forums. You're using a user forum program, and there's a module or a bug in it. And the bad guys become aware of this bug. And what they do is they Google the text that is kind of part of the flaw, right? They actually can search. Google will help them with this and find sites that are attackable. Once they find this site, a site that is not up to date, and it's, by the way, it's very easy. This has happened to me, so I know all about it. Once they find this site, they can inject their own code onto the website. And this is their goal. Their goal is not to take over your website. Well, it might be in your case. I don't know. But adult websites in particular are really prey to this. So they will get their code on your site so that it runs when somebody visits. And that's, by the way, that sign of that FBI warning right there. That's their code. That's not, you didn't put that up there. That's their code. So they've injected code into your site. Now, what the code does, and they can buy kits for this, believe it or not. You can go into the black market online. There are black market websites where you can buy exploit kits. These are packages that you put on a website that you've taken over. So somebody, probably from Eastern Europe or Russia, but it could be somebody from the Valley. It could be anybody, has bought a exploit kit, has found a flaw in your site, and then has now embedded that exploit kit onto your site. The exploit kit is a bit of software that runs whenever somebody visits your site, and they look at flaws on the visitor's computer, because their ultimate goal is to get not onto your computer but onto their computer. You're a vector. By infecting you, by taking over you, they can hit many people. How many unique? Actually, I'm going to turn you back on. How many unique visitors do you have, Leo, to your website? Do you know? Millions.
Well, there's no way for me to really know. Since I'm a producer, I don't really get into that.
Well, you got to have an IT guy.
My office went crazy.
Yeah, but you have to have an IT guy or somebody who's running your website for you.
Well, yeah, the IT guy, he got tired of having to take our computers and basically putting them back onto factory settings to get rid of that.
Yeah, because I'll be honest with you, you're a target.
It locks you up.
They want, so there's a couple of, so you're a target. They want adult sites because you guys have a lot of traffic. You're very successful. And the more people that visit a corrupt site, the more likely they're going to get on people's computers. That's one. Now, it sounds like they're also attacking the machines in your office.
Well, what happened was we shut it down. The IT guy said, even if anybody just logs onto our website, Miracle Films, that message comes up.
Yeah.
We shut it down so our...
Right. So what you need to do is get your... need to get a new IT guy. You need to get somebody who runs the website. It's the web software that's corrupted, and it can get that. It's not hard. Our sysadmin did this. Whoever hosts your site can help you with this. They don't want you to be doing this either. So call your hosting company and say, hey, we've got this problem. Can you help us? They will find the infection, the exploit kit, and remove it. They don't have to rebuild everything. That's an easy thing to do. I've gone through this. Are you getting the Google warning? Because what will happen is your visitors will start getting a warning from Google saying, do not proceed. This site contains malware, and it'll block them from the site.
Well, the problem right now is pretty much we've wiped everything out, and nobody's using our original website anymore because they don't want to get infected again. All I'm calling you for, is there any way to uninfect our website if we log on to it again? And who do we go to?
You go to okay, so when you run a website, you buy hosting from a company, and then sometimes you need somebody to manage that website, to keep the servers running, right? That's the person who would fix it. We call it a sysadmin, but that's the person who will fix this. It sounds like you don't have a sysadmin. He walked off. Is that right?
I don't know.
Well, yeah,
this just happened Thursday.
Yeah, so you need to find either the hosting company is managing it, in which case they'll take care of it, or somebody else is. If it's an abandoned site, you need to find some sysadmin to fix it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I felt like it was a time bomb. I was just, in our business, we call it selfie. Stop! Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, smartphones, home theater, all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. 888-827-5536. I just realized much of Silicon Valley is at Burning Man this weekend, right? This is Burning Man weekend. In fact, there was an interesting article about the high-end Burning Man that all the big tech executives, all the tech millionaires have created, where it's all, Burning Man is an art festival that happens in the Black Rock Desert every year on Labor Day weekend, and it's pretty wild. People wear wild costumes. They burn a giant effigy of a woman at the end of it, and that's where the name came from. It started on Ocean Beach in San Francisco. I actually have been to the original Burning Man, but that's been long ago. For the last almost 20 years now, it's been in the desert, and it's become a little bit gentrified. And now the bigwigs from the tech companies, they'll helicopter in, and they'll have special RVs and all these fancy tents. It's very fancy. I don't know if, but I think that Silicon Valley gets kind of quiet on this weekend because of that. They all go somewhere.
The whole city of San Francisco. Tumbleweeds blowing up Lombard
You
Street.
live in the city, right?
Yeah.
It
really gets quiet.
It's noticeably quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's the funny thing about going to these events. If you go to the Consumer Electronics Show or Burning Man, you see the same people that you would see in San Francisco. You're all been transplanted to another city. Jane in Reading, PA. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Jane.
Hi, Leo. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing great, and you guys have so much fun.
Way too much fun, I'm afraid. I'm sorry that you had to hear that fun in the middle of the...
Well, think of it as your mom listening.
I know. My mom does listen. I know. I'm sorry. I couldn't resist.
Oh, and as I was listening to some of even back towards London, your mom would probably worry about the volcano ash, too, that's over there.
That's right. There's always something to worry about. If you worry, you won't travel.
I do that with my son, so,
Yeah. I told her, Mom, I'm all right. We'll be fine. It's safe. It's safer there than here because we have cows here, and cows kill hundreds of people every year. It's not a joke. All right. Anyway, what can I do for you?
My question was, do I go and check to see if my old computer is fixable, or do I just go ahead and get something new and up to date?
Every computer is fixable. That's not the question. Same thing with cars. Think of a computer as a car. There's no car that can't be fixed. The question is it worth putting the money into it?
Okay, so that's the thing. You check to see if you take it somewhere and they say, well, it's
how much?
costs this, then...
Yeah. By the way, that's why often they'll charge you $50 or more to look at it.
Oh,
Because they know that's the only money they're getting. So tell me, but maybe I can help you with a little bit of early triage. Tell me a little bit about this computer.
Well, it's my laptop computer that I use.
How old is it?
Well, I know it's at least 7 years old, I guess.
And it's running Windows XP?
Windows 7, I think. Windows XP.
Yeah, all right, Windows 7. It sounds right. 7 sounds right. All right. Yeah. 7 came out, just about 7 years ago. So that's about right. Is it not working?
Oh, it's working. Every once in a while, sometimes I think it seems to run a little hot.
That's normal. Yeah. As computers get older, they get dust in there. That can heat them up. Fans may have stopped working. That can make some big difference in there.
Yeah.
But also...
on rare occasions, it'll just shut down.
Yeah.
To protect itself.
Yes. So it is overheating.
Bring it back up again.
Yeah. So overheating is a significant problem. In fact, after a while, that could be the death of the computer. So that's something to be aware of. You back up, right?
Probably not as much as I should. I know you always say back up, back up, back up, back up, back up, back up.
Well, just remember that at any time, like any moment, that computer could die, and the data that's on it cannot be retrieved.
Extracted again.
And then, now ask yourself, how would I feel about that?
Okay.
And then if that would be a disaster, then you better make a copy.
But then should I be making a copy also to maybe like a USB port or to a...
I would make a copy. I would make 2 copies, and I would have one be off-site. That is not right in your house. Because one of the reasons you have backups is in case there's a real disaster. A meteor comes falling from the sky and clobbers your home. Fortunately, you weren't home. Unfortunately, your backups were. Then your data's still lost. So you want 2 copies minimum. 3 would be ideal. The original, a copy next to your computer, a local copy, and then a copy off-site.
Okay.
And so 2 drives could do that. One
Do I just put it on a disc, or should I use UB drive?
You don't have to get fancy. Just whatever you put it on. Just the idea is you maybe swap it out every week and take it to the office. Something like that. Just get it out of the house.
All right. But then should I back up everything that's on it on those? Or?
No, because you're going to get a new copy of Windows. You're going to get new apps. Those can be replaced. It's stuff that you made that can't be replaced.
Oh, like my photos or any files.
Anything you created.
Or documents, whatever that I might have.
If you created it, chances are there's only 1 copy, and that's on your hard drive.
Okay.
So, anything like that. And if it's stuff you don't care about, then let it go. But if you, for instance, if you bought music, you downloaded music, a lot of times you can't download it again. You want to make a copy of that. Any documents, financial records, emails, anything like that. But I want to tell you something.
Okay.
You probably shouldn't be running Windows. I'm going to guess you should not be running Windows. What do you do with your computer?
What do I do with it?
Yeah, what do you do with it?
Basically, I'll do some stuff maybe on Facebook or do my emails or, maybe do some documents or, different things like that.
Yeah. You're not making a movie?
Phone, and so I don't do anything with movies.
You're not making a movie? You're not, are you a wedding photographer?
No.
No. You're not planning rocket ship rides to Mars or anything like that? You're not doing any rocket science, anything like that?
No, that's not on my list right now that I know of.
Mostly, you, like 99% of everybody, you surf the web and you do email.
Correct.
Maybe you do some word processing, spreadsheets, that kind of thing.
No, not too much.
You don't need Windows for that. Windows is a couple of things wrong with Windows for that. First of all, it's overly complex.
Okay.
Requires more hardware to run than you need. That makes it more expensive.
Okay.
You have to become a security expert now to protect yourself, and probably you're gathering that. And there's this whole backup issue as well. Plus, you have to learn how to use it. So really, all you really need, if you think about it, is a browser. Because everything you do is pretty much in your browser. Even your email, if you use a online email service, is in your browser. So for most people, a Chromebook is perfect solution. This is inexpensive. Yeah, they cost $200 or $300. They don't get viruses ever. simple. If you have a problem, you can do. Google put something in called power washing. You press a button and it power washes it back to the way it was. You don't have to have install disks or anything. And if worst case it dies. Oh, and by the way, your data is not stored locally. It's stored on Google's servers or others. You could use others. So you don't ever have to worry about backup because it's already backed up.
Okay.
And if you ever lose it, well, it's no big deal. You go, well, I'll just go get another one.
Now, what about compatibility to my phone and stuff like that? And
Well, what do you do? What's your phone's relationship to your computer?
well, not a lot. Occasionally, I have to plug it in and just check some things, or maybe get some of the pictures off from my from my
So
phone.
most phones now, Facebook will do this, Google Plus will do this, Flickr will do this, OneDrive will do this. Automatically, as you take pictures, just uploads them.
Okay.
So they're on the cloud. You don't, and then when you access them, you just access them through the browser.
Okay, so like the cloud or
Yeah.
like that.
Hang on, I want to talk a little more about this because I feel like a lot of people are buying more than they need. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. And do not use Downy after power washing. There are a few things if you play computer games. Although I have to say, finished Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls last night. Perfect experience on a console. Better than I played it through on the PC. So much better on the console. I love it on the console. And most gaming is, I think, better on a console because it's straightforward. Chromebooks do not get viruses. Dropbox works. Most of the people listening to this show, I would bet 99% should not be buying a computer. Period. They should be buying a tablet or a Chromebook. And that's become, that's only recently, really. That's become more true over the last year. Now, if you don't have internet access, but who doesn't have internet access? What good is a computer without internet access? It's just a big calculator then. What are you doing with it? And yeah, you can still use Microsoft Office, Office 365. Absolutely. I mean, it's not the full Office, but you know what? No one uses the full Office anyway. I haven't yet reviewed that Chromebase. That's that's basically a Chromebox. No, Chromebooks will never get viruses. I'm willing to go out on a limb. How would you get a virus on a Chromebook? What do I do with my $5,000 Mac Pro? Well, first of all, it's not $5,000. It was $3,000. It's only $5,000 because I have 3 monitors on it. Oh, I owe you an ad, don't I? Yeah. Yeah, Oscar, in theory, a Chrome extension could be malicious, but the way Chrome extensions work and the way Chrome works, it would be very difficult to do anything at all significant. Your bigger risk is your Google account being hacked. That's actually a risk. So you make sure you have a good password and you have second factor authentication and you have a cell phone number attached to it and you're fine. Yeah, who does Quicken anymore? Who does tax software anymore? I guess if you had to run, I mean, TurboTax, I guess. iTunes does not work on a Chromebook. You won't be using iTunes anymore. But there's Google Play Music, which is, I think, much better than iTunes. But so what you would do with your computer is upload your music to Google Play Music before you just decommissioned it. You got that boom boom? I got that boom boom. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Boom, boom, boom. Jane's on the line from Reading, and I'm trying to talk her into something that a lot of people should be thinking about. Jane's computer is on life support. But it's a Windows PC, and you know, for so long, everybody, without thinking, just knee-jerk reflex, just bought a Windows PC because that's what everybody bought. And I always question that But more than ever, I question it because the things we do with our computers don't require an expensive, complex machine. Are you playing Call of Duty on your PC? Minecraft? No?
No, I don't do any of those.
Do you? if you're playing...
My son has some of those things. I think they're on his...
Your son is probably not going to want a Chromebook because he's going to, he plays on computer games, PC games.
Yeah.
So, but those guys are, part of their investment is learning how to use Windows, how to keep it safe, how to hack it, how to modify it, how to get the best software. That's part of the deal. But you don't want to do that. You just want to look at your pictures, get your email, look at your websites. That's all. And that's all most people ever want to do.
Yeah, check, I don't do any tweets or anything like that either.
You could still tweet. You could tweet all you want. You could do Facebook.
No, I do Facebook. And
no problem with Facebook.
Thanks.
In fact, what you'll do is you'll have Facebook on your phone. You probably already do.
I do.
And there's a setting in the Facebook on the phone to automatically upload every picture you take from the phone to Facebook. Privately, nobody sees it. And then when you want to share it, you just go on your Chromebook, or you can do this on your phone, obviously, but you can do it on your Chromebook, and you say, share this picture. That picture's already there because the Facebook app uploaded it.
Oh, okay. Well,
You can Skype from a Chromebook if you want to do video calls. No problem. I think that, very few people these days should be buying a full-blown computer, Windows or Mac. They should either get a tablet, an iPad, or an Android tablet. But if you want a real keyboard, if you're doing email, I think you should have a real keyboard if you're writing documents.
Right.
Then a Chromebook is just like a notebook. Now, Chromebooks tend to be kind of cheap. They're $200. The Acer C720, which I think is an excellent choice, is $200.
Yeah.
I think that's
an Acer.
Yeah. That's a little low. These are low end. Now, the good news is, in fact, Google even does this in the Chromebook ads. They show a dog licking a Chromebook, and they say, well, if your dog eats it, no problem. You can buy another one. Because the cost of that PC is like 3 or 4 Chromebooks. But what I'd like to see is some higher-end Chromebooks, and we're starting to see those. There's a new Acer 13-inch that is not out yet, but is coming out that's going to be very better. It's going to have 4 gigs of RAM, which makes it faster. It's going to have a nice touch screen, a bigger screen. So we're getting what I think of as...
Bigger screens are always nice.
Yeah.
Always nice.
Well, there's another option there. Is something called a Chrome box, which is a hockey puck-sized Chrome OS thing that plugs into your computer, keyboard, mouse, and monitor. Mm-hmm. Now it's like a desktop computer. And you can have a 27-inch screen if you want.
Oh, gee. No. Doesn't have to be that big.
So there are good choices. I think this is increasing. Lots of schools are using these.
Okay.
Because that's all the kid needs. And it avoids this whole issue of, kids playing Minecraft during recess.
Okay.
So I would really think about Chromebox is $150. It could hook up your existing, well, you have a laptop, so you don't have an existing computer monitor and keyboard and mouse. But for people who do, that's a good choice.
Yeah.
If you were thinking of buying another Windows PC, a $500 PC, A, it's going to be twice as expensive, and B, it's going to be twice as complicated. And at that price range, it's kind of cheesy. And you're going to have more problems than I think you'd want.
Okay.
So here's how to test that. To see if you could do this, just live in the browser for a while on your regular PC. Go download Chrome from Google. It's free.
Chrome, okay.
Chrome, Chrome.google.com. Download it, install it, and then don't ever leave it. And see if everything you want to do you can do in Chrome. Because if you can, then the Chromebook is the best choice for you. You hear all these people with viruses and Windows is acting strangely and my computer won't restart and blah. Overheating. All of this stuff is because we frankly oversold people on computers. We gave them more than they wanted or needed.
Yeah. But the slowness of my computer is probably because I have stuff in there that I don't need right now.
Well, it's slow because over time computers, and this is another problem that you don't have with the Chromebook, computers do get slower because you install stuff and there's more stuff there. So the best thing to do with your computer would be to get your Windows install disks. Bet you don't have any, but if you did, get your Windows install disks and reinstall Windows on a fresh hard drive. Reinstall your apps. Of course, you've made a backup of all your data, so restore it from your backup. And start over, in other words. And then it will be as fast as it was when it came home. But the internet, remember, is demanding more of your computer than it did 7 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
So everything is slow.
Of course it is.
So a Chromebook would be literally like 3 times faster than what you've got now. Oh, they boot up instantly? Now, the negative on the Chromebook, and I suppose I should say this, is you're putting all your data on Google's servers. Your calendar, your contacts, your email all becomes, part of the Google service. I don't have a problem with that, but some people don't want to, have Google have all that stuff. So that would be an argument against that.
Well,
I wouldn't worry about
those
it.
are the options.
I wouldn't worry about it.
Yeah.
And you can go out and get a new Windows PC, but nowadays, that's more. We don't need all that.
Well, and they come with a lot of things you probably don't even need.
Right. I think that if I could do anything, I would get people out of that automatic mindset where, you buy a computer, it's a Windows PC. That's a computer. It isn't. Not anymore. And then it certainly wouldn't turn you away from a tablet of some kind, probably an iPad. Do you need a physical keyboard?
Well, it probably would be nice.
You can get a wireless keyboard to work with your iPad. In fact, they have covers that make stands and the keyboards and turn the iPad into a little computer. We think Apple's going to announce a 13-inch iPad next month.
Wow.
Actually, October. So that will be more like a computer, and that would be a great choice, too.
Yeah. Well, I have an iPhone, so...
Oh.
Well, and I do like that.
It's just like an iPhone with a big screen.
Yeah, with a big screen.
And a lot of great apps. I mean, that's actually, the gaming on an iPad is pretty good, too. Now, you'll have to figure out how to print. If you have an existing printer, many current wireless printers will use Google Cloud Print, which means you can print from any Chromebook or Android device. Apple has its own AirPrint technology. If you had an iPad, it would work the same as your iPhone.
Okay.
Although,
I know some people who just went to wireless printers.
Wireless printers are great. Oh, it's great.
Love them.
Because you can put it somewhere out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be next to your computer. By the way, with a Chromebook, you get 100 gigabytes of storage. That's part of the deal. That's plenty. You never use more than that.
All right, that's something I'm going to have to look at.
I think that's the way to go, Jane. Yeah. I hope I've sold you on that.
Well, you've helped me quite a bit. I appreciate it so much.
Thanks for the call, and I appreciate it. I'm glad you listened.
Enjoy when you go over to London.
Can't wait.
Fun.
Oh, I'm so excited. Thank you, Jane. Take care. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. She has an iPhone, Mr. Mike. Which means, and I didn't want to get into it because it was running out of time, but that there's going to be a problem with the music. Why? Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We were just talking about the song of the summer. I think Fancy, good candidate for the song of the summer. You don't know till the end of the summer, though. It could be anything. Joe in Branson, Missouri, home of Dollywood, isn't it? No, is that Pigeon Forge?
Actually, Dixie Stampede.
That's right, Dixie Stampede. Hello, Joe.
How are you today?
I'm well. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I went to school for computer programming, didn't stay long enough to get certified, but I can program. And I'm really having a time trying to get an entry-level position, probably because Branson's a tourist town.
Yeah.
And I really would like to move on with my career.
I don't blame you. And, of course, that's really the value of the CS degree, is that you can point to that and say, hey, see, I got a degree in it. I got the certification. It doesn't mean you're a better programmer. Most of the guys in Silicon Valley do not have college degrees.
Right.
That's not what they judge you on anymore. Never has been.
True.
I shouldn't say that. For my kids who are listening, get the degree, please.
Yeah, I can hear that.
Stay in school.
A lot of weight.
It doesn't hurt, let's put it that way, and it could very well help. But I do notice that a lot of the people I just saw a study that said programmers in San Francisco, something like 56% dropped out of school. Right. So that's not a count against you, but it does make it harder to get a basic job because you don't have any experience, you don't have anything, right? It would be a leap of faith for somebody to hire you at this point.
Yes.
So what do you do?
Well, that's why I'm calling. Thought maybe you might have an idea for me.
Well, there certainly are certifications. I would say, and by the way, this is how a lot of people get into the business, is kind of sideways. Start as a sysadmin or a network administrator, get a A+ cert so that you can do computer support.
I'm both A+ certified and an MCSE, but they're really stale.
Yeah, well, freshen them up a little bit. But those pieces of paper you could show an employer. They're not going to help you get a job as a programmer, but they are going to get you in the door. And maybe that's the entry-level job you need to get into a company, and then start writing software. That's the other thing you could do. And of course, this requires having a job of some kind to pay the bills. But lots of people, one of the reasons people drop out is they go, "What am I going to school for when I could write an app and make $6 billion like those WhatsApp guys?"
Right.
Now, you're not going to, but no one is ever again, probably. But there's certainly money to be made in apps, and writing your own app, that's another way to get a job. To say, "Look, I wrote this. What do you think?"
Now, I do have a few things in PHP in my SQL online.
There you go.
And I do practice, probably not enough because I have to work. I make good money waiting tables, get laid off. I went to Thailand, go to Central America.
That's really the problem is you need to show an employer you can do it. If you have an app, if you can get any job, right, to pay the bills and write an app, that's not a bad thing to do. It's somebody in the chat room saying, and I agree with him, one thing that hasn't changed in job hunting is it's about networking, it's about who you know, it's about proving you can do the job, and being willing, by the way, and this is what I also tell my kids, to start at the bottom, because you often do. And I did, and everybody does, and it's kind of hard, but at the same time, that's they call it paying your dues, and that hasn't changed. But what has changed, and what I do like, is that at least in the technology business, it's not the piece of paper you have, it's not your age, it's not your race or your gender, it's what you've done. So the key is to have done something. Have a website that's amazing, have a product that's amazing, have an app that's amazing, something you wrote in your spare time. That will get you a job faster than anything else. And if you've got the chops, this is a meritocracy, I believe. There's a lot of talk about the sexism of the computer industry, and there's no doubt about it. And the brogrammers, the bro programmers, and all of that. But I got to tell you, if you're good, it doesn't matter. People will hire you because you're good, because there aren't enough great engineers. Nobody can be picky about it. If you're really good, you will get a job. You will. Rick from Santa Barbara. Hi, Rick.
Hey, Leo. Great show, as usual.
Thank you. I'm glad you're listening.
I sure miss watching Screensavers, was it?
That's it. Screensavers and Call for Help. Did that for 6 years on cable TV in the late 90s, early 2000s. That's starting to sound like a long time ago. 10 years ago.
That was a lot of fun. There was a lot of characters on that show.
Oh,
today.
It was the best. And you know what's great is we're all still in touch, and so many of them are doing well. And it was an amazing time. We got to watch the computer revolution with a ringside seat.
It was great. And you know what I enjoyed today was when we were on commercial break. What a riot. You guys have too much fun behind the scenes.
We leave those in the podcasts, hint, hint.
Oh, nice.
So if you missed the radio show, listen to the podcast, and that all the between show chatter is preserved. There's audio and video at techguylabs.com. What can I do for you today?
Well, in addition to the slow PC, I had a quick question about how to span my pictures to multiple DVDs. I always spend a bunch of time breaking them up, trying to fill up a DVD, burn those, and then try to get a bunch more together that's the right size. Is there some kind of way to automatically split the files?
That is a pain, isn't it?
Yeah.
Backup programs will do it. Some DVD burner programs like Roxio, Easy DVD Creator, you can give them a big set, and it's going to say, "Hey, this will take 6 DVDs," and it'll prompt you. It'll spit one out and prompt you for the next one. So that's the way to do it. The problem is it's not very useful if it's an ongoing process, because you have to burn them all at once.
Right. Which
And-
is not a problem. That's what I kind of need to do.
Well, that's good. Most of the CD burning and DVD burning programs will do that automatically.
Okay, I got to give that a look.
Yeah. Yeah, and then that way you just say, hey, you just give them a big set, and they'll say, well, this isn't going to fit on one. Here, let's spread it out. I don't particularly like DVDs for backup because of this and other reasons, and it's so cheap to go out and get a 2 terabyte hard drive, $100, back it all up. I just think that's the better way to go. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I bought for $27. I bought a 64 gig. I wanted a low profile USB, and because it doesn't have to be USB 3, it's USB 2. This is going to be for my high res music. So 64 gigs. I put it all on one little thing, and when you stick it in the USB slot, it doesn't stick out very much. And so put that in my stereo. It's kind of cool. $27 for 64 gigs. It's unbelievable. Yeah, I don't burning DVDs at 4 gigs, 4.9 gigs at a shot is like, oof, that's painful. That's painful. I don't do that no more. Security guards are shooing people away from mysterious white building that is erected in Cupertino. Of course, we're talking about Apple's announcement, the Flint Center. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I'm just opening my mail here, looking for my Apple invitation. Let's see. No. Maybe no. Here's one. Postage due $1.49. You think that's it?
Yeah, that could be. They're not as
they don't like me that much
as
anymore.
they used to be.
Yeah, no, it's a CD. It's nice. The guy sends me a CD of his music. Postage due $1.49. Hey, who's that voice? That's Dick DeBartolo, Mad Magazine's maddest writer. We call him the Gizwiz because he joins us every week with crazy, sometimes very useful gadgets.
Yeah, I think today is going to be one of the very useful gadgets day.
Oh.
Yeah, okay, so
I need a shredder for all these credit card offers. That's what I... Oh, man. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
All right, so, we all carry those external battery chargers with us, so in case our phone or tablet go dead during the day, we can plug it into that and charge it. But this is really neat. It's from a company called UNU, and it's called the Ultra Pack.
That's the answer to the question, by the way. Who knew?
Oh, that's right. UNU.
UNU.
Karnak. Right.
How do you spell UNU?
UNU.
Oh, okay.
And the gadget I'm talking about is the UNU Ultra Pack.
Ultra Pack.
Leo, what is really fascinating about the Ultra Pack, the external battery charges, is that there's a 3,000 and a 10,000 milliamp version.
That's a lot of juice.
But if you forget to charge it, in 15 minutes, it reaches 75%.
Wow.
Of its capacity.
Oh, that's amazing.
It charges itself at 31.25 watts. And the funny thing is you put a stopwatch on it and you can watch it go 1%, 2%. You can watch it go up. I did put a stopwatch on it. I ran it down. I charged several things till I ran, they sent me the little one. I ran the 3,000 milliamp guy down to 0, plugged it in the wall, stopwatch. At exactly 15 minutes, it was at 76% capacity. So that would be enough that you could unplug it and certainly run your smartphone all day.
That is really good.
Great.
That's what we need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the 10,000 milliamp, same deal, will 75% capacity in 15 minutes. And that will charge your tablet, and that has 2 outputs. So you can charge a tablet and a smartphone. They're a little back-ordered now because...
I see that.
Yes.
Wow.
They originally hoped to have them back in stock by the end of August. And earlier today, I went to check, and now they're backed up till September 20th. And the same on Amazon. You can pre-order them, but Amazon, I believe, is saying September 25th. But something worthwhile looking for, the Ultra Pack from UNU.
You know, there's so many of these, but this is a selling point. I mean, otherwise they're pretty much undifferentiated. But the fast charging is 31. He's a 31 watt charger. So your phone is 10 watts at best, usually less. Right. So that's why it's so much faster. That's great.
Yeah, exactly.
That's great.
So it will charge your phone at the same rate your phone normally charges at. This is so you can fill that guy,
right.
the UNU.
Fast.
Power. Yeah. Fast.
Dick is at gizwiz.biz. That's his website. That's a place to go if you want to see details about the who knew, you knew.
That's it.
And everything
the last
else.
chance to play for October.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we're coming to the end of August. That means one more day to play the What the Heck Is That contest. If you go to the Dick's website, gizwiz.biz, you'll see a link that says What the Heck Is It? Click that link, and you will see a picture, close-up of, maybe not close-up, I don't know, of a gadget. Looks a little bit like an ironing board. I don't know. What could that be? I'll tell you what, there's 12 autographed copies of Mad Magazine for the right answer, 24 for the wrong answer. So it's up to you which way you want to go on that one, but I know which one I would go for. By the way, you're playing for the October issue of Mad Magazine, which features a lovely caricature of moi.
Mm-hmm.
I made it with my own selfie stick. Hey, thank you, Dickie D. Stick around. The Giz Fizz coming up on the Podcast Network. We've got a few more minutes in the show. Kathleen in Yucca Valley, California. You're next. Hi, Kathleen.
Hi, Leo. How you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Well, I think I got hacked. Oh. I have Apple computers. I have 2 desktops, 3 iPads, and 2 iPhones. And what I did was I was having trouble with Skype, so I typed in Skype phone number, and I dialed the first number that came up, and it wasn't Skype.
Okay.
Okay. And so I gave them remote access to my computer.
Okay.
What's the worst case scenario? What should I do to protect myself?
Did you ever give them a credit card number?
I never did.
Good. You're almost certainly all right. It's very hard. All of these guys expect Windows.
Okay.
So when they hack you, they're going to be trying to hack Windows. They were able to log in remotely, though.
Yep. I said, sure, go ahead.
Okay.
And then they couldn't help me. And my husband came home and got me right on Skype.
Did you see them manipulating the mouse? Did you see it moving around?
Yes, they were moving around.
Okay, so they were in there. Okay.
And I saw data, like I saw lines of data, and they showed me where this was me and then this was somebody else. They were indicating somebody else was in my machine. I think they put themselves in there.
Anything they show you or tell you in this case is bogus. They make it look like something's going on when it's not.
They wanted to sell me $500 worth of,
Chances are that's the scam, and they wanted a credit card number and they wanted your money.
Okay.
Had you been using Windows, maybe they would have injected malware on your machine. There isn't a lot of Mac malware.
Oh, there isn't?
No. So it's very unlikely that they had anything to hand.
Okay.
So it's much more likely they went through some stuff. Maybe they downloaded files. Could be they downloaded all your documents. So if you had, for instance,
documents.
Well, if you had a document, as my mom did, named passwords.txt on your desktop, they would have grabbed that.
No.
But if you don't have your that's why I set her up with LastPass, because that protected her. So if you're not worried about anything they got in your documents, maybe think about it. Maybe they got credit card numbers or something from your documents. If you use Evernote, for instance, all that stuff in Evernote is in the clear.
Yeah.
So that's the big risk. It's very unlikely they put malware on there. Now, I'm going to tell you a couple of things you can do just to make sure. There's a great little program called Little Snitch. It's not exactly an antivirus. What Little Snitch does is it sits and watches outbound traffic. Now, if these guys did put something on your system, that something will attempt to contact their servers.
Okay.
Little Snitch will sense it and let you know.
Okay.
So you can try it for free, and that might be the thing to do, but you do need to buy it if you want to use it on a lengthy time. The other thing you should do is turn on the Apple firewall if you don't already have that on.
Well, we have a router.
Oh yeah, so that's good enough. But turn on the Apple firewall still.
So
it's in the security settings in the system. It's
an Apple.
Yeah, just because that will protect you against people remote accessing your computer again.
Okay.
When you go to security in your system preference settings and you turn on the firewall, it'll kind of prevent you from somebody from accessing. You won't have software. If they put bad stuff on your computer, it cannot let the bad guys in. It protects you against that. I don't think you have anything to worry about. They didn't get what they wanted, which was your money. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. I'm Leo Laporte. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, the Tech Guy is just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows now on the Twit Netcast Network, and you'll find them all at twit.tv. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPad on iPad Today. You get your daily dose of tech news from Tech News Today, and our weekly roundtable show, This Week in Tech. It's all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next time with another great Tech Guy podcast. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.